Let's see. Let's see if anybody's up. I will wait to see because I did not plan on going live um after the Chronicles. But if anybody pops on, we can do a live chit chat if y'all have watched it. And I'll probably plan one the next time it's on. But I'm going to give people a chance to pop into the chat to see who watched it because it just went off like 5 minutes ago. And when y'all watch this back, this when y'all not sitting here watching me just, not say anything. So if you pop it into the chat, you gotta say something so I can be like, hey y'all and stuff. Um, hey Nick. Whew. Hey, yeah, I was in the bed, honey. That's why I look real plain Jane in my little house dress or whatever. Hey, hey, hey. The show just went off. It was 2 episodes that came on BET. Need to put my house shoes on. I told y'all like when I'm sitting here, I just feel better when I have my house shoes on. It's just weird. But I hope y'all can hear me. But yeah, just went off. It was on BET. It was a 1 hour episodes. It is a Hey So Extra. It is a 5-part docu-series. Y'all know I can't see nothing. Uh, Lord Jesus. Um, and I broke my lamp today, so I can't cut the light on here by my office space, but I have my hallway light on, so hopefully it's not too dark for y'all. But yeah, it's a 5-part docu-series. And part one and part two was pretty interesting. I would have to say that. Um, I'm old enough to remember No Limit before and after and during and everything. So I was like, oh my God, it's like we living my like, teenage years and my teenage early 20s. Early 20s. Um, some stuff I didn't know, I guess. I didn't know where C Murder. Oh, you're a bedtime sheet. Honey, yes, because I was literally in the bed under the covers watching it. And I'm like, oh, let me get up and go in the room and do a little video. I was gonna do it from my cell phone, but I ain't feel like I have to put lights on um in my bedroom because it's dark in my bedroom. But I didn't know like C Murder used to be like in the army or whatever, or that's where he got his name from. I was surprised to see people not knowing that, C Murder took the shock and Master People's brothers. I'm like, how y'all didn't know that? Where y'all been? So it was funny just seeing the um tweets of people who, are too young to remember times of what happened back then. Um, Master P currently, him and his son gets on my nerves from, growing up hip hop. However, I have to say, we have to admit and acknowledge how great of a person he is in, in the hip hop industry because no one else at that time was able to get the deals he got done to build the empire he has based on where he came from. And I'm like, I didn't know that Master P had actually moved to Cali. I always assumed that Master P was always in New Orleans. I didn't even realize that he was, in California in Richmond, doing stuff. I also didn't know that he had a um a record store. So it's like I think it was a good thing to do these kind of documentaries. I know next month they are going to be doing this is not gonna be long at all. I know next time they're doing um Rough Riders. I want to watch Rough Riders. I read a post that said Master P, who is who y'all think Jay Z is. Do you agree? No, no. I think Master P and Jay Z are two of the same. They both were rappers who became businessmen who now own, a lot of their own stuff, and they have also helped people to come up. I think people may say Master P Master P was at that point who Jay Z is now. We didn't know that. I'll say yes for that. But I don't think, that Master P is who we think Jay Z is. I think Jay Z is also a businessman. I think they both came from, tough neighborhoods. They both I think Jay Z probably had more talent rapper wise than P. I think we've all said, well, at least I've said before, back in my hood, we would acknowledge that P wasn't the best rapper at all. He just had catchy songs. When Bada Bada came out, when Make 'Em Say came out, it was the beat of it all, it was the cadence of it all, it was the catchiness that made it stick. But P himself wasn't really a good rapper versus Jay-Z, who um was a good rapper. He just wasn't popular at the time. But I think they both are entities within themselves. And but I've always thought of Master B as a boss, truthfully, because I knew he did No Limit. I remember those times, and we all knew that he was the one in charge. So I think this um, Chronicles is probably helping people realize that more than they knew from before. Because I don't think people realize that Master P was literally selling CDs out of his trunk, back then. I don't think they realized that he really did, still have his brothers rapping. That was something that we talked about back then. That C Murder and Silk the Shocker wasn't like rappers. We would talk about how Silk the Shocker couldn't really rap. He was kind of offbeat. Um, Right, Mia X and Mystical. Yeah, Mia X and Mystical were the top rappers back then, with them, and nobody else would say anything different. And I think Master P, music wise, got popular because he got catchy songs. I don't remember ever buying a Master P album ever, but I can name Master P songs. But he was a smart businessman, and to see the beginnings of it is what's amazing now. Because I also didn't know that he toured with Tupac. He was like an opening act for Tupac. Um, so that was a good thing. For me, seeing people back then is amazing now. Because I'm like, that's Tupac. People who say, oh, so and so look like Tupac. I'm like, no, they don't. You don't know what Tupac looked like unless she was around when Tupac was around. So it's just funny. But like to see that he, opened up for Tupac was crazy. Because I was like, well, first of all, was he even talented enough to do that? Mystical was in the yeah, I figured that. I knew Mystical was. I like to see Mystical and Juvenile do a versus. Um, they could. I don't think they could. That'll be cool. Tupac signed. Yeah, I remember who we signed to No Limit for a little bit of a minute. Um, but Mia X, Mia X, Mystical. Silk the Shocker had like rapped on other people's songs. That was really good. The song that Silk the Shocker did with Trina was really good. They had these little bitty pockets of amazingness, but I still think that Master P himself was a genius because of what he did and how he made his business shine. Even to know that Master P and Slim or Baby, whoever it was, I think it was Slim and Baby, who met with P to try to kind of partner on some distributions. I don't think I would have wanted them to kind of partner. I think it was a good thing that No Limit and Cash Money was kind of separate. I think that would have made one or both of those entities implode. And I think the fact that eventually both of them kind of didn't implode, I mean, I think it happened because they weren't together the whole time. I want to see more of other people saying what happened back then. I think it was one thing to hear P talk about his upbringing, what I'm saying, how his parents separated and, the death of his grandfather and how he ended up having to leave. Even him talking about the death of his brother Kevin, which was devastating and everything. I think that's cool. But I'm like, I want to hear from like the producers who was around back then. You know what I'm saying? Even us seeing how the one guy he had partnered with for so long from the beginning. And, once P owned all the masters and the guy kind of wanted to, own a little bit of his own stuff too. And when P said, like, if I'm doing things this way, it's my ship, and I see you doing something different, I have to leave you behind. And I'm like, well, you could have a conversation with Blood, to leave him behind. It's kind of weird. But I just want to hear from other people besides P. I think it's easy for anybody to tell their own story in their own way. I just always feel like, well, who else was around at that time can kind of give us, an additional, perspective of what went on. P was a textbook definition of grassroots marketing. He made the best he did. What I'm saying? When he said how he would give homeless people his shirts, the No Limit shirts, because it's like free marketing. It was genius. You know what I'm saying? When you want to have the local rappers come and rap on your stuff, that's very, very smart. I think that worked for that time. That kind of wouldn't work now. Like right now, nobody would be walking around looking at a homeless person's shirt. You know what I'm saying? I think he was a smart businessman who was around in the perfect era because he was P didn't know shit. It was very much so luck of the draw. Mi- Luck of the draw mixed with determination and drive. I will say that. But I don't want to make it seem as if he was this extremely brilliant, genius person when, as he said himself, he didn't know shit and he kind of keep learning, you know what I'm saying, here and there, even when they brought up how, he wanted to get a better business deal, and he at that time went to ask to meet with Michael Jackson's attorney, and the attorney charged $25,000 just to have a conversation, just to have a meeting with him. But P paid 25 grand, and I think that speaks to the testament of sometimes you will have to pay someone to get information that may not immediately put money in your pocket, and that's a cost to you. But what you gain from that conversation is what helps you build wealth. And him meeting with Michael Jackson's attorney, and the attorney's like, you need to get a good deal. Like, you need to go and get a distribution deal, and you want to get 85/15, which means you get 85% of the profit, and the distribution company gets 15% for sharing your stuff. I'm like, that was genius. A lot of people back then were getting these those 360 deals, and they brought that up when P went to Iveen. What's his name? Steve Iveen, Jimmy Iveen, and Jimmy Iveen offered him $1 million. But P said, "I read a contract. You always read the contracts," and it was a thing to where he would get $1 million, but he would not be able to like use his own name, use his own likeness, or whatever for like 7 years. That's not good. So it's easy for P to tell us this great story of how smart he was and all these marketing things he did. But are we sure that it was your idea to put people in? I just want to hear more, to hear from more people who were around them besides just P. Um, Me too. I don't want to hear the watered down version. I don't either. Have so much respect for him as a businessman, and I think we should. I think, but again, things he did then it just wouldn't work now. And he also took a lot of risk. Let's make that clear, because sometimes if you keep putting out more and more music that no one's buying, because as he said, he made all these albums and all these songs, all these mixtapes or whatever that wasn't doing anything, some people may not have been able to afford to keep putting out, garbage content that no one's watching. But he also knew this keep going because eventually people will love it. And I mean, no one loved the old stuff, but eventually he became to be the P we knew and the P that we love as Don't Limit. Um, Growing up hip hop, let me know. We need to hear from other people. Boom. Okay. Because it's easy for some people will tell you only the great parts about what happens to them and how easy it was and how, oh, I did this and I did that. And I'm like, but was it true? Like, was it true? I don't know. And but you have other people who will give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I'm saying? And when P was talking, I felt like he was leaving out stuff for whatever the reason may be. And I also feel like whatever he was leaving out, it does not mean that he was any less successful, that he was any less innovative, that he was any less of the genius that's behind No Limit. But I still feel like when he talked about the meeting between him and Baby and Slim from Cash Money. You can't tell me that y'all went in there to have a meeting and you said, "Well, he doing his thing and now I'm doing mine." And that's it. No, it was something else that happened at that meeting. It can't be that simple. You, as Master P, if we seen you over the years, you showed me more than that. And I know for a fact that baby didn't just sit there and not say shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna tell it, tell it. But that's why I always feel like documentaries should always include multiple people. And I like how they had the guy who he also worked with for a long time. He kind of like let go. And the guy's like, "Yo, you let me go. I had your back all them years. You just let me go. That hurt me, man." I feel like we had to see that part of it because P saying, "Well, he was, was doing something I didn't want to do." From one side, oh well, that he was fucking up. On the other side, he just also wanted to make more money. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's that whole thing that we have to remember. Um, do you think they were calculated? Do you think do you think they were calculated risks or just happened to get lucky? I think it was both, a mixture of both. I think when he talked about, when they were in the club and Silk the Shocker, somebody stepped on his feet or his shoe or whatever, and Silk, you know what I'm saying, was pissed. He's like, "Yeah, it was a whole fight broke out, and one of our people got knocked out. I went to my car, got a gun, and the gun kept jamming. And then when I, left the club or whatever, it worked. It worked fine." I'm like, how much of that was really true? Like, did you really go get a gun? Or did you think, or did you try to go get one and you couldn't find it? You're like, this is, it's, I don't know. So I think it's a thing to where some things were calculated risks that happens that went bad and then went good. And some of it was like, okay, it's just like, oh, it happened that way. I think we don't know too much because again, we only really hearing for some of the stuff piece side of things. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm from New Orleans. I know how bad the Karla Pace products was back then. I give them credit for being alive. The no was in murder. The no was the murder capital of the world. I do know for a fact he's lucky to be alive. I think just hearing stories about the projects in inner cities in general, a lot of people are lucky to be alive. Detroit back then wasn't that bad. Like we didn't really have gangs like that when I was growing up. I mean, we had gangs, but like nobody here. We weren't having like mass killings. But I also didn't live in the projects, so I think it can be different when you are from a different element. But I don't have a story, and I don't think anyone I grew up with, even in the hood of the hood, we don't have these stories of people being literally murdered on a regular basis. That just wasn't the life that we lived. And that was, this is in the 90s. My parents probably could attest to that a little bit more. But not even that, because my parents didn't live in the ghetto either. It's just weird. But I know for a fact I've heard stories about, the urban areas in, New Orleans, of course in California, sometime in New York. We hear these stories. So I think it's a miracle when some of these rappers do make it out alive. So that part I do agree with. Because you just never know. I feel the same way that we're leaving out a lot. And watching it, I was entertained watching it. I still feel like it's very enlightening. I feel like it's letting us know that we did not know, but I also feel like something being left out. But I also feel like it's only episode 1 and 2. So I think episode 1 was more focused on, P as a kid, him, his siblings, his parents, you know what I'm saying, and how he got to leave New Orleans. And then 2 was okay, he's in Richmond, he's in LA, and when in California. And this is how he got into the music because he needed money. He was married. His wife, first of all, it was ex-wife, Sonia Miller, came on her fur coat, okay, her sunglasses, her jewelry or whatever. I said, "You better come on, we fancy with a girl." Now we know him and Sonia is divorced now, but and I really hope, I wonder if they'll well, they probably won't because that's his divorce to her ain't about the music or whatever. But I feel like if y'all started off about his personal life, I need y'all to address that messy divorce with that lady because it was kind of crazy. Um, but I just feel like I hope parts 3, 4, and 5 is not watered down. I hope it's not only his opinion. I hope that it's more people opinion from back then. I'm anyone who's alive who was around back then, I hope they participate. Sometimes you can't get people to participate because they may be pissed off about whatever. Um, but I just want it to be as honest and as authentic as it can be, and not just be Master P's story about how he got to where he was. I always feel like you can't tell someone's story from only their perspective, because sometimes from their perspective they may not want to be as honest um, as they want to be. And I'm hoping the Rough Riders Chronicles is good. I hope I hope PMX participated. I hope Eve participated. I want people to participate. Like the fact that this is the no limit one. Um, I think is Mystical in jail? I don't know. But I mean Snoop is on there. But I'm like, where's Cain and Abel? Okay, Mia X is on there too. But I just want it to be authentic. Is all I really want to happen. But it was interesting. It really, 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 really was. Because you can remember back in the day when it was always bringing up in front of Kevin, because Kevin was killed. You remember back in the day when they would have these huge concerts with these tanks and they came in as an army for real. I mean, girl, it was a lot, but I liked it. So next Wednesday when parts 3 and 4 play, I will go live a little bit after 11 when it goes off. But I can't wait for the Rough Riders one. Mr. got out. Yeah, did he go? I don't think he went back again. But I really wish that he would have been on here too, because Mystical was a huge part of No Limit. Truth be told, his verses on some of their songs were the best of it all. I'm like, girl. Um, I have to say a story about Bad Boy. Um, did he did he owe too many people from the label back then? But it would be good. I do think it'd be good. But again, I would not want it from a Puffy perspective. It would need to be from the perspective of whoever was on Bad Boy back then. Um, for some reason, I always thought Romeo was the family. I was surprised when he was the oldest. He's the oldest of their children. He's the only kid who was born when they stayed in the projects. He likes to bring that up. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, because I was around when they were struggling." I'm like, he was a baby. It was in diapers. I think by the time Romeo was like 3 or 4, they were in LA, in a lap of luxury or whatever. I think once he was able to really understand what was going on, he was, older. So I don't, I can't. But yeah, he's the oldest, but he still gets on my nerves a whole lot. Like, oh God. But that's another reason why I can't watch this and 100% feel like, oh, this is actual and factual for real, if it's just one person's perspective. You know what I'm saying? It can't be just his perspective, Silk the Shockers perspective, his sister. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I need the producers. I need there's other folks who was also included. But the business partner being there to me helped me believe, okay, this is what happened. Even them saying how they went to priority and demanded to get an office and told them like, y'all can't tell me how many albums put out what I want to put out. I believe that happened. Okay, I do believe that happened, but I also feel like if Master P was making 80% profit, is the reason Unlimited eventually fell apart was because he wasn't paying the people. So I want to hear about that. I just don't want to hear about no record label is made without breaking some eggs. No record label is made without mistakes being made. So I don't need this cookie cutter. We got this deal, and then everything was great going forward until C Murder went to jail, and then it all fell through. I'm like, it got to be some other shit, but we shall see. But again, that's my thoughts about it. I told y'all this not gonna be long. So again, next Wednesday, because we don't have the ovals anymore. So next Wednesday we will do a little live chit chat about it to see what else we find out. And other than that, if y'all don't have any more things to say about it, we're gonna end it here. Okay, so your next Wednesday comes on is at from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11. on BET. And then the Rough Riders come on one day in August, whatever August. Let me see, when is it? August what? August 12th is when it comes on. I believe it's August 12th. It's either August 12th or August 19th, one of the two, but I will be there nonetheless. Okay. Um, hey Sam. Yeah, I forget. Well, I have my DVR set to record stuff because if not, I would forget it all. Okay, at all times, on all days, and all ways. And I was taking today off to not do any reviews. I hadn't even did my damn gospel chat the past 2 weeks, but I'm like, oh, it was kind of interesting. Let me, do a little live chit chat this week. I'll probably plan it for next week so that people can remember. But again, it was a good watch. It really, really was. I didn't laugh too much. I was just happy to see Mia X. I was happy to see Cain and Abel's faces because I completely forgot how amazingly sexy they were back in the day. But I don't know where they at now. I don't know if they dead or alive. We shall see. But until next week, everybody, I will talk to y'all then. Go to bed. It's 10:30. No, it's 11:30. It's 11:30 here. So go to bed and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.